to the All the Hats We Wear podcast. I created this company, All the Hats We Wear, way back, probably about 20 years ago. And it stemmed from listening to an audio course by Anthony Robbins called Time of Your Life. And I remember staying with a buddy at Rutgers University. I stayed over at his house and his crappy apartment. And that morning I was reading that workbook. I couldn't sleep, and it hit me like a lightning bolt. And this idea of that we wear all these different hats and that we have many different roles, and that each year all the roles change, or many of them do. Some stay the same, of course, and some evolve. And the more that we can keep up with that and evolve with them, the more fulfilled we'll be. With this company, the three core values are to be joyful, productive, and fulfilled. So if you can do all three of those, I think you're doing pretty well. Now, I'm very proud to say that I finally put together a course that describes all of my ideas related to this All the Hats We Wear course. It's really a work-life balance course, but really it's so much more productivity, creativity. There's an awesome chapter on creativity and using an audio journal to really unleash your creativity. And here's the deck. I even have my logo up there. So to make it look cool. So anyway, I started taking this course myself. So I wanted to finally use the real product. And what I do is put out these cards in front of me like a solitaire game. And then I use 4x6 blank index cards to fill out my content. So that's what I recommend to you. They're a little bit bigger than the cards, but that gives you more space to write your answers. Now, being able to have that eagle eye view of your whole busy life in front of you is going to give you a lot better perspective and going to help you to start to feel control again, regain control of that busy life. That's what this course is all about. So I started this course, and I also have some videos on all my other social, TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, where each day I'll go, 30 seconds to a minute of the next step for the course. And you can follow along with me. Also, these decks are available on my website, allthehatswewear.com, so you could do it at home. Also, that comes with an hour-long video, which will walk you through, well, almost an hour, walk you through the entire course, step by step. So the first big step in the course is to identify what the heck is a role. And a role is really a category in your life that if you don't have quality time, you're going to be unfulfilled. And one of the first steps is to really think about your life as like a set list. You've seen your favorite bands. And if you look closely on the stage, they have a little paper taped to the stage, and that's the set list, the list of the songs. And most bands usually have, the tried and true classics, but also they'll put in a couple new ones in there, right? And the same thing is going to go for you with your set list, your role list. Your list is not going to be songs, it's going to be the roles that you play or the roles that you should be playing. And that's key. A lot of times our stress and problems and depression come from not having the right roles or not being able to have that vision for the role we want and to start working towards it. You need that shining light to go towards. The first step is to identify your passions, hobbies, and interests. So let me share some of mine. Passion certainly is the most intense. And with passion, I think, if you're not doing it, you're definitely going to be feeling left out. Something is left out in your life. So my passions are being a dad, transcendental meditation, this business, building a business, drumming, music, bad movies, roles, the movie Jaws, reading, Ozzy Osbourne, heavy metal music, Metallica, self-development, facilitating groups, horror, Ani DeFranco, the folk singer, eating out at fancy restaurants, keeping my audio journal, being patient zero in this whole all the hats we wear universe, being a music therapist, writing fiction, studying leadership, Cults and cult psychology is fascinating to me. The Rolling Stones, creativity, erotica, Willy Wonka, Quincy's Tavern Instagram channel, love that person. The history of anarchy, world class problem solver, the dude from The Big Lebowski, and being a visionary, a sage, a wise man. That really attracts my attention. Anthony Bourdain's style, Martha Stewart, Martinis, Pink Floyd, Metallica, Black Sabbath, therapy and psychology, goal setting, Jim Collins business books, coffee, nice pens, markers, and notebooks, empowering others, thinking big, David Lynch, and Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who created Transcendental Meditation. So those are my passions, and I wrote them up on these scribbly index cards. And next was hobbies. I'm really just sharing this with you so you get some ideas for your own. Don't feel like you need to copy mine, or I'm only sharing with you so that you can do your own. Hobbies, backgammon, the Joker, true crime, biographies, musical composition, cooking, learning guitar and ukulele, watching NBA games, watching WNBA games, how to on writing, drum corps, marching bands, marching percussion, new vocabulary, casino games, public speaking, speakeasies, social media marketing, investing, the Rocky Horror Picture Show, musicals, fishing, golf, peak performance, mandalas and artwork, art therapy, Three Stooges, the UFC, Jiu-Jitsu, Rabbi Steve Leader, stand-up comics, the NFL, and fantasy football. And for interests, this is really just something that, it might pique your interest. It might fizzle out altogether, but it's very important to constantly nurture your passions, hobbies, and interests because they can become your roles. Very important. So for interests, I have mixology, jazz theory, and jazz improvisation, the vibraphone, which is a jazz instrument, or it could be classical too, craft beers, tarot cards, pickleball, skipbo, Monopoly, Cuba, aquariums, the ocean, philanthropy, substance abuse counseling, dialectical behavior therapy, cognitive behavior therapy, special forces stuff, and Robert Crumb. So those are my brainstorms for that, and you can do the same for yours. And you know what was interesting when I did this course for myself is that I realized, I was racking my brain for all these ideas for passions, hobbies, and interests. And I said, you know what? Let me just take a tour around the house. I'm sure whatever I'm passionate about is going to be showing up. So that's what I did. I looked at all my books in my bedroom. I have a bookshelf in my office. I looked at all of them, and that gave me ideas. A lot of it was just confirming what I had already written, but I did get some new ideas and walked around the whole house. So I suggest that too. You'll know your passions, hobbies, and interests because you're already involved with them, or should be. The next step in the course is the most important, and that's where you get these cards, number 14 through 33, that are actually blank, and they have a spot for you to write your actual role. Now, there are 4 types of roles: mind, body, spirit, giving and receiving roles, which is the in and the out. Often finance and volunteer and that sort of thing falls under that. And then we have the personal and the professional roles. So let me share my roles again, the same thing, just to give you some ideas. And I find that sometimes when you see a finished product, it's easier for you to tackle that project, and it's not so daunting. So for my mind, body, spirit roles, I've got transcendental meditation meditator and spiritual role. Lean body, everyone needs a body role, right? The wise man or the dude. Now I used to have sage instead of wise man, but I don't know. I don't know any sages really, and maybe from way back, hundreds of years ago. And wise man, I guess, is still a long time ago. But then the dude, I could see that. So pick words and roles that resonate with you, and don't be afraid to refine those lists. I've just refined doing that this morning. Investor, Oh, these are the giving and receiving roles. I have investor, business strategist, musician. I never would have thought to put that as a giving receiving role, but really it is. That's the ultimate giving and receiving. And actually, I don't usually quote Hulk Hogan, but I'm pretty sure he said that the true way when you know that you're living your purpose is when your giving and receiving are the same, when they're simultaneous. Clever. And philanthropist as a giving receiving role. And then my personal roles: husband, dad, family and friend, backgammon player, movie buff, chef and mixologist, joker, writer and journaler, and the Willy Wonka of creativity. So those are what I think of in the personal roles. And then for professional roles, these are not just your occupation, but maybe something that you want to work towards, a vision you have for yourself. And it's okay to think big. I love thinking big. And even if you have to do it in the privacy of your own home, and you don't always have to share your big thoughts with everyone, big goals and big vision and big roles. If you're not 100% sure you're going to get positive reinforcement and encouragement, don't share that stuff. Work on making it happen. There's an awesome quote I found from Bob Dylan about destiny, and it's really about having a vision that only you know about in your life. And I love this. I loved that new movie, A Complete Unknown. I recommend it. But this was from an interview on 60 Minutes, actually. And on destiny, he says, it's a feeling you have that you know something about yourself that nobody else does. The picture you have in your mind about what you are about will come true. You have to keep it to yourself. It's a fragile feeling. If you put it out there, someone will kill it. So it's best to keep that all inside. That's a great quote. So, professional roles, all the hats: CEO, visionary, and world class problem solver, work life balance coach, support group facilitator, and music therapist. So, there are 20 blank cards for your roles for you to fill out. Speaking of roles, I often have to kind of transition between the roles. I think I'm pretty genuinely creative. And that is certainly a real strength for me. It always has been, of just being able to generate ideas. And for certainly the musical part of being a musician and a music therapist and a composer. I composed some pieces in college and I really enjoyed that. And jazz improvisation. So all of that I really enjoy. So, but the business side and sales, that's why I needed to adopt a new role, like a sales role or marketing role. And I've had professional speaking roles before where I have to work on that. And all of these you're constantly working on, especially if you're an entrepreneur and a small business owner, you're doing it yourself. You're going to have to create a lot of roles for yourself, which is great. It's empowering. I love it. So I found that sometimes I have to avoid the gimme, gimme energy, of like when I think of sales, I want to talk about a product, I want to meet a need for the target audience. But sometimes I feel like I'm being like, just give me the sale, give me it. And and then I start to go, well, I'm not going to make that social media post because it's not going to bring sales and it's just me talking. And I have to remember that the purpose is to share. And I really don't consider myself to be a super expert or anything like that, nothing special. But I do um, try out all of these strategies 100% in my daily life, and I'm constantly revising and improving. So this deck is a result of thousands of hours of refining and improving just by doing it myself. So I will say that I have that going for me. I've tried all this stuff 100%. I start to think about Anthony Robbins even. He talked about there was some I love Anthony Robbins. And there was a tape I remember listening to him a long time ago, and he was saying that he might be going bankrupt with his company because, someone sued him and all this went wrong, or someone stole from him that he was a partner with. So the whole idea was that he basically said, well, maybe I have to accept that this is gonna go belly up. I'm gonna lose my company. And then he went further. Well, do I have any resources? Do I have any strengths that I can rely upon? And then he started to say, oh, yeah, I do, and I can do this, and I take the lessons I learned, and I know how to build so and so. And so, and then he realized, he says, all right, so if this goes belly up, I'm not gonna die, I'm gonna move on. And then he said, but let's not let that happen. I don't want to go bankrupt. So let's recharge and focus on making this thing work. And he did. And I like that approach. There's a movie that one of my favorite movies is Seven with Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, and another guy I won't say in case you've never seen the movie. But this movie, it's about a serial killer. And although I don't think any life coach would compare themselves to a serial killer philosophy, but what is said in this movie so resonates with how I really feel. It's strange. So I want to share that. There's a scene when they finally get the killer and he's in the back of the cruiser and they say, well, it's all done now. What can it hurt for you to tell us a little about yourself? Because the whole movie they were trying to find this guy. He was always too clever and to find. And they said, basically, what makes you so special that you know, can do all this to other people, and you have all of your high and mighty views. And he says, it doesn't matter who I am. Who I am means absolutely nothing. I'm not special. I've never been exceptional. This is, though, what I'm doing, my work. And I thought that was really hit home for me because I don't believe that it's anything special that I'm doing or that I could say or that I want to be a celebrity. It's literally the ideas that have come up and that have worked. And I'm definitely passionate about sharing ideas that help. I do that at work all the time. I will come up with an idea, like let's say a board game for my music therapy groups. And then I try to share it with everyone. Like, it's working now for me. Why don't you do it too? So that's my take on the movie Seven, a really outstanding movie. I'd like to close with a mention of a book that really sparks my ideas. And this is a book I've been fascinated with, obsessed with for a couple of years now. And now it's on its 2.0 revised version. And this is the book by Donald Miller called Story Brand, Building a Story Brand. Could have it here. There's the book. This is such a good book. And it's called Building a Story Brand, Clarify Your Message so Customers Will Listen. Use the 7 elements of great storytelling to grow your business. Highly recommend it. I have a couple copies and I just got the new audiobook because it's, like I said, it's on the 2.0. The main idea of the book is that you need to use the ideas of a story, a great storytelling to help run your business. And the main idea is that your customers have to be the hero and you have to be the guide. And it sounds simple, but a lot of us think that we have to impress with all of our, my company was created in 1974 and we have this award and that award and the customer doesn't really care. They care about their problems and what they want to do. So you have to be that guide. You have to be the Yoda to their Luke Skywalker. And there's just a lot of really good ideas in this book. Anyway, the main thing, besides the philosophy of the book, when I listen to the audiobook, I just start scribbling down ideas for the whole business. It's not even related to what I'm listening to. And I'm wondering if you have books like that that they just generate ideas for you. I have started to read a little bit differently. I like to try to get the audiobook and the physical book and then have the audiobook going at the same time while I'm looking at or underlying the book. And this really helps me. And I also usually have a couple of notebooks to my side too, because like I say, I get ideas all the time. And I wonder that's why I am not as a fast a reader as I would think, because I read something and it gives me a different idea and I want to capture it or explore it or jot a couple notes. So this way you have that audiobook going. It keeps your place, keeps the momentum going, and then you can just go on a little tangent and scribble down a couple things so you capture them. So, and once you find a book like that really gets you going, that's magic. You got to keep it with you and just keep revisiting it. Well, I thank you for spending a little time with me here. If you'd like more info on the deck and the videos that go with it, just check out the website, allthehatswewear.com, and we'll get you started on that so you can have all of your cards out and start to regain control of your busy life. We're often running around with not enough time for what we really deem to be most important. And there's a lot of strategies that can help with that. So I hope you visit the website, allthehatswewear.com, check out that deck, and let's be in touch. I'd love to hear how you're doing with regaining control of that busy life by identifying all of the hats that you wear. Till next time, bye-bye.